Hello and welcome. Today I'm taking this canvas board that is covered in a burlap. It came that way, covered in burlap. I bought it in maybe a 2-pack or something from the thrift store. I'm sure you can find them anywhere. And I don't even know if burlap is really like in style anymore. It was used a lot during the farmhouse kind of scene, but I've had this for a long time and I want to use it. And so I thought today it'd be kind of neat to try out a stencil on this burlap. Normally you'd want a smoother surface, but I think it's going to work. And so I'm taking my wreath stencil and some simple black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to go around, make sure you offload that paint as much as possible, because we know that once you pull that up and you get the bleed through, that is the worst. Now, if I was working on another type of surface like wood or an actual canvas board, I would be able to pick up that paint pretty well, and or just cover it back up with another paint that I'm working with. But because this is burlap, there's going to be no forgiveness. And so we did it. It looks great. I'm super happy with this. I'm surprised that I got the clear enough edges on this burlap, and I'm really liking the black against the natural color of that burlap. And so I have an owl stencil. I've had this forever, and I'm going to use that black paint again. Now, when you use stencils like this, you've got that wide open space in the middle, and so you kind of want to make sure that paint, covers evenly. Now, this wasn't as even as I wanted. It was a little splotchy, but it adds a little interest. Not a big deal. We'll move on to the frame. I did give that just one coat of black paint. I didn't want to go too heavy. I really want to sand this down and make it look as rustic as possible. And so when you're sanding like this, make sure you stay away from the corners. I'll show you here in a minute. I've learned that, once you start sanding over those corners right there, you get kind of that line and it'll just break everything up. So I try to avoid those corners whenever possible. And I am using a circular motion just because I want to get a wide enough sand without it just being these straight lines. And by going in circles, I can achieve that. And so now I'm taking some antiquing wax. I do like to thin my wax down with water usually. And so I'm going to do that here again. I don't like to lay down a thick layer and then wipe it all back. I feel like it's a little wasteful and unnecessary when you can just thin it out with water and still achieve that really beautiful, rich tone that the antiquing wax gives with black on wood. And so what I'm doing now is I'm taking brown ink, and I really love to do this. I do this in most all my projects with a dauber and just going around the edges. And so I'm just kind of checking to see if this is going to be enough. Once I get this set down in that frame, it may not show enough for me. And so I'm going to check it right here. And so, yeah, it's very slight. I need it to be a little bit more pronounced. So we're going to pop this back out, and we're really going to dig into that ink this time. And we're really going to go for it and try to bring that age up just a little bit so I could see it from that frame. And so now I'm achieving a little bit more of the look that I want. And I'm really liking using this ink. I don't know when this little tiny ink pad is going to run out, but I'm definitely have been working it to death with my last projects. And so I think we're pretty much finishing up what I'm looking for. And here's project number 1. And so for project number 2, I've got this wooden matchbox or match holder. It's for the really long matches. And it looks like I started on it in a previous project, but didn't end up doing anything with it. So now I'm going to use some of the Waverly chalk paint in Truffle. And I'm also going to be mixing in a little bit of the same Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral. I really like this color Mineral, and I'm almost empty there, so I'm going to have to get another jar of that. So I kind of, for some reason, felt like I wanted to mix the two and just add maybe a little bit of variation or interest other than a flat paint color. And so you'll see that here. And I really kind of blend that in and work it in. I wanted to leave some streaks, but I ended up blending it in pretty good there. But it's a really pretty color. I definitely like both of these. And so we're going to go here on the sides and get it all finished up. It's kind of fun blending these colors like this. Instead of blending them on the plate, I often like to just throw it on and see what I get. It's a little bit more interesting that way. And so now I'm taking another stencil. I've been mixing and matching my stencils lately and also using the same stencil to extend the image. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out here. Because it's just one stencil going, in one direction, you can see it there. You can flip it around to the other side or just use parts and pieces and angle it and really create an extended image with these. And so now I'm taking that Mineral and I'm just going through it. Now the neat thing that happened with this is I laid down that Mineral paint a little heavy in some spots, so it kind of looked like it had some color variation going on. And I'm kind of liking that. And so I did just a little piece of it there, that top part. That way I can add to the bottom of it without having the stem in the way and then just making it look too busy. And so I'm really having a lot of fun playing with my stencils lately. Um, I, I wanted to use maybe like a transfer on this. I am not happy with transfers that I've come across lately. And so I'm just going to stick with stencils. I think I can get really creative with them. And I think in the future, I want to start doing some like color blocking on these and really getting like a neat, different, color variations within the stencil. And so I'll probably be doing something like that a little bit more here in the future. But for now, I just want to get some foliage on this piece and take up as much space as possible so it's not kind of just floating there in the floating around there. And so I opted not to tape these down. Not a big deal. Sometimes the more faster or haphazard you go, sometimes it just turns out better. And so it becomes a little bit more of a creative artistic piece. And now I'm using that ink again just to go around all of the edges. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but I like to do it anyways. And so I'm just going to throw on some clear wax. And there's, a lot of different ways I could have done this. I could have sprayed it with a clear coat. I could put down a clear matte sealer, but I had my wax right there, and so I just grabbed it and decided to throw that on. And so here is project number 2. For project number 3, I had one of those signs that you can find all through the thrift stores They are a dime a dozen. I threw on a couple coats of black paint, and now I have this wooden applique. I absolutely love these. I love filigree. I cannot get enough of them. And so I used a little bit of the Thick and Quick with some hot glue, and now I'm just cleaning up some of that Thick and Quick that came through with a Q-tip. And I'm going to give this a coat of black paint. This is a bit time consuming, but well worth it. And so here is the finish painted box with the filigree. And so, okay, now I want to get something for the middle of that box. This is going to be kind of like a curio, a place where I can add things to, whatever mood strikes me. And so I want to get something very interesting in the center of that box because it's just going to be a simple piece. And I'm taking just some copy paper, not a big deal. And I've got my coffee and water mixture. I do like to make these in small batches and keep them in the fridge because if you don't, you'll get some growth there on the coffee. And so if you keep it in the fridge, it'll stay fresher longer. And so I'm really going to lay this on thick. And the reason why I'm doing that is a couple of things. I am going to be adding some coffee grounds, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a salt texture on this. And so I need a lot of liquid. So, okay, so I've got my coffee grounds. I cannot get enough of this this finish or faux finish, whatever you call. I just absolutely love it. And so I sprinkle those down and I'm going to give it a spritz of water. That's going to get those coffee grounds to continue to spread. And now I'm taking my salt, and guys, I don't know if you ever seen this salt. It's called real salt. It is not cheap. Please don't use your expensive salt. I don't have anything else to use. I keep forgetting to buy cheap salt for this, but I'm going to sacrifice some for this project, and it'll end up being worth it. So yeah, you can just use a cheap salt from the dollar store. Don't use your expensive stuff. And so okay, so we're going to just dry this really quick with the hair dryer. Now I do want to mop up some of the coffee grounds because they tend to get kind of clumpy and goopy. And so you can pick all that up and it dulls it down a little bit, flattens them down, makes it look like it's more a part of the paper. And so you want to take a cloth after everything is very, very dry and just brush that salt off. And then I'm going to show you guys a little bit of eye candy. At least it's eye candy for me. I don't know. Tell me if you guys love this stuff or not. To me, it is just like eye candy. And so I'll take a moment here. Isn't it amazing? I just absolutely love it. And it's so simple. You know, coffee grounds from the dollar store, some cheap salt, and you have a faux finish that looks just incredible. And at least to me, I just love this stuff. Okay, so we're going to measure this and get this. The measuring never really worked for me. It did sort of. I ended up having to kind of, fix the edges on this, but it ended up working out probably even better. And so I do give a little measure there, and now we're going to cut. I'm going to save that half for a future project. And so we're going to take this one, cut it down to size. And I do want to rough up these edges with some sandpaper. And then I do end up doing a little bit more to get those edges, a little bit more organic looking. And I'll show you here in just a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to sand this down. A little bit of Mod Podge. Okay, so yeah, it wasn't a perfect cut. That is actually great, not a big deal. I end up working with it. And so I definitely want to get the center smoothed, but I create wrinkles on purpose. I want as much just really neat texture. And sometimes you can even tear your paper and just make it look like it's just been there for a long time. And so I pull that corner back up, fold it back down, make sure I get some good wrinkles in there. And I'm going to pull up this corner as well and just work it into the edges. Now I take a cloth and I actually just crinkle those edges on purpose, add a little bit more coffee and water. That way I can just kind of rough up those edges. And so now I'm taking more of that mixture to continue with the border and create interest with the coffee and water mixture. And I really love this part. This is my favorite part of doing these projects. And it kind of just starts to feel like an artistic piece. And I'd really like to explore doing, some canvases with this kind of texture. Let me know what you think about some artistic pieces rather than craft pieces. And so now I am using a little bit of, it's a champagne gold, and I'm hitting the tops of the filigree there and around the frame. And I go in a little bit of a couple of layers after doing this gold. I felt like it was going in a different direction than I wanted it to. And so I'm taking more of the black and just adding layers. It really, really overall adds to the piece. And so, guys, I really want to take a moment to thank you for all of your support and kind words. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm looking for a little bit of an extra push, and that way I can keep going and making these projects for you all. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.